Stress, my friends, is a killer. If you have already an autoimmune condition, it's not going to take you to the right place.
I try to remind myself all the time, okay, you gotta, slow down, take it easy. Or if there's something that is too stressful and you can deal with that tomorrow, leave it for tomorrow. You can choose how you react to stress. If you have to walk away, take that time and walk away. Process what's happening and then come back. This is something that is easier said than done. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm mindful and I am choosing to react this way. You gotta train yourself.
Breathing exercises or any exercise, physical exercise, is good, especially if you pay attention while you're doing it. It can become sort of a form of meditation where if you're aware of your body and aware of how you're feeling and your breathing, that can really reduce stress.
Doing something creative, like I love editing videos or editing pictures, and I get completely submerged in the process because I'm creative, and that makes me feel better. I like water sounds, so I play water sounds. That brings down the stress immediately. I try to do the things early during the day that are more stressful or that take more time, that require more of my energy. That way I'm not stressed out throughout the day.
Just to get outside in any way can reduce stress and can be very helpful. I like to go to farmers markets. That's my favorite sort of go-to activity. I do that twice a week because it's not just getting the food that you want. You can, you visit with the farmers and they give you recipes and will tell you about the food if you ask them. So getting out with people and seeing things is always good.
If you start moving, smiling, and thinking of a better future, in spite of the many, many stumbles in the road and the many falls in the road, you can do it. I have done it, and I think that one can do it too.
At this point, you have to think of yourself. It's not being selfish, it's just practicing self-care.
Basically, take it out to the edge and see how far we can go, because you may surprise yourself how well you can do when you take things out to the edge and you trust yourself.
They used to think that exercise was bad for people with MS and they want them to stay away from it. But the truth is that is not, because you develop a lot of atrophy when you don't use your muscles. The muscles get stiff with spasticity. And a great way that I have found to manage spasticity is exercising.
When I was diagnosed in 2000, and I was told, don't exercise, that's not good for you. 20 years ago, don't exercise. And I did, until I realized my body wasn't getting any better. The spasms, the discomfort, I decided I am going to start exercising.
I would say start really slow and start with things that you kind of like. And I would say go to a physical therapist if you can, or an occupational therapist, because they'll probably have ideas for exercises that you wouldn't think of.
I was really good at yoga, standing yoga, and I couldn't do it like that anymore because I had foot drop. So it wasn't safe. Thankfully, I was in a class that was for MS patients, so it was adapted to different stages of MS. The instructor would teach how to do it standing and how to do it on the chair. So that's when I was introduced to chair yoga. I learned also that you can exercise on your bed. You don't really have to get up. People that are in a wheelchair can still exercise from the wheelchair or from the bed.
Some days I don't feel like exercising, but I went on my new step and did my 2 miles, and at least 30 minutes a day. I think that's imperative for one who has motor issues and movement issues. Accepting where you are and what you can do to not worsen your situation is key. And I must admit, it takes a while to accept your condition. It didn't happen overnight. You have to work on it every single day and accept where you are and move on. And that's what I did. My strength, my outlook improves. It increases your endorphins. It's good. The day that I don't do my 2,000, 3,000 steps, and if it's raining outside, it's like, it's kind of like a down day. It's like, we can have this today. So Cynthia, put on some music, get up, you sit down on your machine and you start exercising.
Be aware that, any exercise you can do is better than none. You shouldn't do it to the point of pain. You're not trying to be a bodybuilder or anything, just trying to help your body work better. Do exercises that will strengthen you to help you do the things you do in regular life.
My advice is to connect with someone who can assist you. And if you're living with someone, have that person you're living with learn what to help you with every day, if it's even on a small scale of 20, 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be long, but don't forget to move the body, because in MS, like any other condition, movement is life. And I realized that, and that's why I can talk to you today, because I move my body every day. After my diagnosis, I totally had to flip over my life. It's sort of like the carpet got pulled from under me. I was still doing the 60, 70-hour week and eventually had to sell out everything because of exhaustion. I was totally fatigued and realized that I truly needed to change my career, my life, and take consciousness of what was really happening.
Before I got MS, I was focused on what I could accomplish and what my goals were, that I was going to be a great success or accomplish great things, help a lot of people. My self-concept went from being like, David who is going to save the world to David who is doing a pretty good job of dealing with MS.
One of the biggest mistakes that people that are dealing with MS do is that they want to understand it all at once. Okay, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to eat these vegetables, I'm going to exercise. There's not a magic formula. Everybody's different, and you have to find what works for you and stick to that until things change.
The hardest part in changes is getting used to it and practicing. I fell off the wagon, so to speak, many, many times with my nutrition. And when I fell off the wagon, I started feeling crummy. So I realized I had to develop the discipline to stick to it and do it day in and day out.
MS is a daily battle. That's what it is. So the day that you don't feel well, own that. And just rest if you need to rest. Cancel if you have to cancel your plans. Say no when you have to say no. Don't be available all the time. And when you feel great, don't overdo it.
Sometimes people who are fairly new with MS and are not specially disabled, they will be reluctant to go to a support group because you go there and there'll be people in wheelchairs and there'll be people who can't talk, and this scares them. And what I felt like was it was really beneficial, even though it was scary, because you could see that even though they did have these disabilities, they were still having real lives. They had relationships. Some of them were still working. They did different things. So life might be different, but could still be good.
I'm the type of person that when somebody needs help, I always offer. Being a support group leader for the National MS Society has brought a lot of satisfaction in my life. All this that I do is part of my healing process as well. It's very gratifying.
Disability does not mean not being able to do things. It means finding different ways to do things.
Your approach to things, to how you do things, has to change. And as long as you understand that, then life will be a lot easier. And take it one day at a time.
Treat yourself kindly, make it a habit, go to bed at a decent time every night, give yourself at least 7 hours sleep. You will not regret it.
The number one thing I would say I've learned from MS is the importance of getting help and accepting help and helping others. The world might have a purpose for me that's different from the purpose I have for myself. I think MS might have been a way of pushing me towards that purpose.